Okay, here we are on day 33. I don't know if you can see that. Day 33. Okay. And I got it zoomed in, so I'm going to jump ahead through the writing and grammar, the reading comprehension, social studies, more reading comprehension, social studies, the 1-minute math drill, which of course is good if you can do these. These are division today. They're good if you know them, but if you don't know them, don't worry so much because they don't use. You get to use a calculator, but it always helps to be able to do that. And we're going to jump to the math windows on page 6 of 10, day 33. Okay, and I'm going to be writing on this page here. So try number 1 on your own. That means pause it, read it, see if you can figure out how to do it on your own. Okay, I'm going to start right in. If you've already paused, you are with me. Riley was trying to decide which salad to order for lunch. If each salad comes with one dressing, how many different combinations could she make? So there's 4 different salad choices: Caesar, fruit, ham, or chef. And on each one, you could choose between 4 dressings: ginger, Italian, French, vinaigrette. So, for example, you could get a Caesar salad with ginger, or Caesar with Italian, or Caesar with French, or Caesar with vinaigrette. For each choice, you get 4 different dressings you could choose from. So you get 4 for Caesar, 4 for fruit, 4 for ham, 4 for chef. How many different combinations is that? Well, it's 4 different salads times 4 different dressings. 16 combinations. That's how you would figure out combinations. Okay. Number 2, what percent of 33.5 is 21? So 33.5 is the whole. 21 is the part. And you want to know what part. So we set up a fraction. 21 divided by 33. What part is 21 of 33.5? If you divide this on your calculator, you should get a decimal less than 1. It's like a fraction smaller than 1. So let me try that here. Okay, I'm going to go to my calculator. And I'm going to put in 21 and divide that by 33.5. 33.5 equals, and there's my decimal. Notice it's smaller than 1, 0.6268. So I'm going to write that down as 0.626. I'm going to write a 9 because the next number, the 6, you would round up. It's bigger than 5. You would round up. 0.6269. Now that's not percent. That's the decimal that shows what part of 33.5 is 21. It's bigger than half because half would be 0.5. But it's smaller than the whole thing, of course. It's not 33.5. It's 21. The whole thing would be 1.0. Anyway, what percent is this? Well, percent is really a fraction with hundredths as the denominator. So to get hundredths, you get 2 places. It's tenths and hundredths. That's hundredths. So you would multiply by 100, move the decimal point here, and you get 62.69%. 62.69 hundredths is the same as 62.69%. Okay? That's how you find out. And that makes sense. It's bigger than 50%. 50% would be half. Try number, whoop, I wrote that over here. Yep, try number 3 now. Number 3, try reading that one. Okay, let me see. Could have paused it. You could always pause it at any time. Even during the problem, you can pause it and try working it out yourself. Dell earns $8.70 per hour at her job. If she works overtime, she earns time and a half. What does that mean, time and a half? It means you take 870, that's 870, and you add half to that. Half of 870 is 435. You would add that to the 870. It's 1.5 times the regular pay. Last week, Dell worked 52 hours. How much did she earn before taxes and deductions? So you have to take the regular time. What's the regular time? What time is considered regular time? How many hours? 40 hours. So you would multiply the 40 times her regular pay, 870. 40 times 870. So I'm going to do that on the calculator here. Clear it. And do 40 times $88.70. 40 times $8.70 equals 348. 348. $348. So I know she made that much. Now, she worked, that's 40 hours. How much is overtime if she worked 52 hours? 40 is regular time. How much would be overtime? 52 minus 40. 2 minus 0 is 2. 5 minus 4 is 1. 12 hours. She works 12 hours overtime. In those 12 hours, she's going to be paid time and a half. So her salary is not going to be 870. It's going to be bigger than 870. How could you figure out time and a half? Well, I'm going to clear it here. I'm going to go time and a half is 1.5. 1.5 times 870 equals $13.05. $13.05 an hour. That's what she's going to be paid when she works overtime. And how many hours did we say she works overtime? 12. So now we have to multiply 12 times that. So I'm going to clear it and do 12 times 13.05 equals 156.6. I'm going to write it right here, 156.6, which is the same as 60 cents. Now we just have to do what? Add those two. That's her regular pay, and this is her overtime pay for working 12 hours overtime. Okay, so I could add, I already got the 156 up there, 60 cents. I'm going to add 348. 348 equals 504.60. 504.60. Is that there? There it is, C. 504.60. Now, there's another way we could have done this. We got that she worked 12 hours overtime. Now, it's time and a half. Instead of taking your salary and doing 1.5 times your salary, you could take the hours, 12 hours, and do that times 1.5. Half of 12 is 6. 6 plus 12 is 18. She worked 12 hours overtime, but she's going to be paid for 1.5. She's going to be paid for 18 hours. You take half the 12, 6, and you add it to the 12, 18. So she's getting paid for 18 hours working, even though she only worked 12 overtime. She gets paid for 18 hours on her regular pay. Her regular pay was for 40 hours plus the 18 is 58. So I could do 58 times her regular pay, 870. I could have done this, and this would give me the answer too. That gives me the whole answer. I don't have to do two different steps. Okay, let me clear this. 8.70 times 58 equals, I didn't do my point. It says 50,460. It's supposed to say 504. My decimal point it didn't do. It's supposed to say 504.60. 504.60, which is answer C. Okay? So the easier way would have been to take your time, your 12 hours overtime, and change that to 18 regular hours. Because overtime's time and a half. You get paid an hour and a half for each hour you work. So it's like you're getting paid for 18 hours. You add the 18 to the 40, you get 58. Multiply 58 times your regular pay. Okay, last one on the math windows. Number 4. Here's some numbers. I want the mean, the median, and the mode. The mean. Well, let's skip the mean for now. That one's mean. We want the median. The median is the one that's right in the middle if they're in order, but they're not in order. I've got to put them in order. What's the smallest one? 1. And then comes what? Another 1. And a 2. A 3. And we got what? 6. 8. And then 1, 2, 3 10s. Now you can check and see if you got them all. Just count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, which one's in the middle? Well, it looks like here's the middle. Let's just check. They're on the end, those two. I'm going to go in slowly, slowly, slowly. Which one's in the middle? 6. That's the median. Now, we were lucky because there was an odd number of entries. So the median, the middle one's going to be the one in the middle. But if there were 10, you'd end up with 2 in the middle. Then you have to take the average of those two. If this was the middle, 2 numbers in the middle, you'd have to take the average. How do you do that? Well, you add 8 and 6, 14, and you divide by 2, 7. 7 would be in the middle. But since there's an odd number, the 6 falls in the middle. The median is the middle number. It sounds like that's the same as the mean, but it's not. The mean is when you balance it. Where does it balance? Where is the middle when you balance it? If these were all weights, where would the middle be? Well, to figure that out, you add them all up. You add them up, and then you divide by how many there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9. Okay. Add those up if you can on your calculator. I'm not going to do it on my calculator. I'm just going to add it here. 2 and 6 is 8, and 1 is 9, and 8 is 17, 27, 30, 40, 41, 51. And I'm going to divide by 9. 51 goes in 9. 5 times 9 is 45. Subtract, you get 6. 9 into 60 goes 6 point. Now we have to put the point. 6. 6 times 9 is 54 with a remainder of 6. So it's closer to 5.7 because the remainder is 6. It's bigger than half. So we're going to put 5.7. We're going to round to 5.7 as the mean. 5.7 is close to the mean. Notice it's close to the median, close to the number in the middle, but it's a little smaller here, 5.7, where it balances out. Now, what is the mode? The mode is the number that occurs most often. There's 2 2s, 1, 2, there's 2 1s, but there are 3 10s, so the 10 wins. It's the most common. 10 is the mode. Okay, how much time are we up to here? 13 minutes. Okay, we're going to go on. So, what is our lesson about this day's lesson? Well, when we go past it all, and after the math windows, we get to this, our lesson, and it's on quadratic equations. Now, we've been working on equations that have 1x in them. So, let me see where we did this. So we've been working equations that have an x. Like, for instance, x plus 4 equals 11. Right? So it's got an x in it, just a regular x. Okay? Or you could have 7x minus 3 equals 21. And we've been solving this to get what the x must be equal to. But now we're going to move to quadratic equations. Quadratic equations have an x squared. So maybe you have 3x squared minus 7x equals 42. Okay, this is a quadratic equation because it has x squared. Quadratic equations are much harder to solve than simple 1-degree equations like this. Quadratic equations are much harder to solve. Okay, and we're going to be working on that, how to solve a quadratic equations. But first we're going to look at how to make quadratic equations. And here they're showing you how to multiply two polynomials to get a quadratic equation. They're going to multiply this out and end up with a quadratic equation in x squared term. Okay, let me try it as an example. It says multiply 2x plus 3 times x minus 4. You can always read through this, but be careful. Sometimes they make a mistake. They made a mistake on this first one because they had 15x squared plus 9x, and they took out a 3 because 3 goes into both 15 and 9, but they should have also taken out an x. They didn't, and they forgot there was an x here. So they actually, this is the wrong answer. It should be 3x times this, but they didn't see the x there. If you do this, it'll come out to 15x squared plus 9, not plus 9x. So this is a mistake here. Anyway, you got to be careful. Sometimes they make mistakes. Okay, so we're going to try to multiply this out and see if we come up with the same answer as them. Now, when you have to multiply two polynomials, remember, when they're in parentheses and there's nothing between the next one in parentheses, that means multiply. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with this first term, and I'm going to multiply it times each of these. When I'm done, I'm going to start with the second term and multiply it times each of these. So I'm going to actually do 4 multiplications. This times this times this, then this times this, and this times this. They call that FOIL, first, outside, inside, last. But that's, you don't have to remember that. Just remember, you have to do this times both and this times both. They're in order. What's so hard to remember? 2x times x. So 2x times x is 2 times x times x, which is the same as 2x squared. Now I can see why we're going to have a quadratic equation. We have an x squared because you have an x times an x. 2x times minus 4. Well, minus 4 times 2, a positive times a negative is a negative. And 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 8x. Minus 8x, so it's 4 times 2 is 8. Minus 8x. Well, we did the 2x times z. Now we got to do the 3. 3 times x is plus 3x. And 3 times minus 4, a positive times a negative, is a negative 12. Now, after you do that, you can simplify it a little because these both are x terms. They both have an x. This is an x squared, not the same. You cannot combine this with these. But I can combine these two. So I'm going to keep my 2x squared. And then I've got minus 3x and a minus 8x and plus 3x. A minus and a plus. When you add them, you end up subtracting the numbers because one wants to go that way and the 3 wants to go this way. So you subtract 3 from 8 is 5. And the sign is the bigger one. 8's bigger, so it's going to be minus 5x. This is really 3x minus 8x. It's the opposite of 8x minus 3x, which would be 5x. It's 3x minus 8x minus 5x. And the 12 just stays, minus 12. And there's our answer. 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Is that what they had? 2x squared minus 5x minus 12. Yep, we get the same answer as them. I don't know if you can see that right there. Same answer. Anyway, now, that's one thing we're going to be doing. We're going to be multiplying two polynomials together to make a quadratic equation. The other thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting with a quadratic equation and factoring it to go back to this stage, to lower level Polynomials, that's called factoring it. In a way, you're simplifying it so you can, and you'll understand why we're doing that later when we try to solve for x. When we try to figure out what x is, we're going to end up factoring. That'll make it easier to find out what x is. Okay? Okay, so on we go. We're going to jump to the problems now. Let's do some work here to the real problems. So I'm going to jump to this page. Day 33, page 8 of 10. Everybody there? Okay, we're going to do some multiplying first of polynomials. Later in exercise B, we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with a quadratic and factor it to get it back to this stage. So we're going to go from here to there, then we're going to go from here to there backwards, okay? So let's start up here. And I'm going to have to work these on a separate piece of paper. Here we go. So the first one says x plus 4 times x plus 2. Now, if you remember how I did the last one, you can try this one on your own. If not, you can watch me do it. This is number 1. Okay, here we go. So I start with the first term, x. X times x, not 2x. X times x is x squared. X times 2, this is 2x. The x times the 2, plus 2x. Now I did the x, now I got to do the 4. It's his turn. 4 times x, that's 4x. And 4 times 2 is 8, plus 8. Now I'm not done. I can combine these two terms because they're both x terms. I can't combine that. That's x squared. So that one's going to stay. The 2x and the 4x, they're added together. It's just simply 6x. And then we have plus 8. That's number 1. Got it? So now try number 2 while I'm writing it. Of course, you can pause me. I have x minus 3. This time we have a minus. That's going to change things. X minus 3 times x plus 5. What happens when you multiply them together? Well, I start with the x. I don't know if you can see. Here we go. I'm going to start with the x term. X times x, x squared. X times 5 plus 5x. Now this is minus 3 times x is minus 3x. And last you have minus 3 times positive 5. A negative times a positive is a negative. And 3 times 5 is 15. Right? Now I'm going to combine the x terms. Those are the x terms. So I got x squared. I have 5x minus 3x. Well, it's just 5 minus 3. 2x. And it's positive because the 5 is bigger and it's positive. Minus 15. And that's it. Okay. Now, let's do number 3. Number 3. X minus 1 times x plus 4. Don't worry, I'm not going to do all of these because that would take a long time. X minus 1 times x plus 4. I'm just doing a few. You can watch how I do them. And if you still don't understand, watch again until it really begins to sink in. I mean, you can see how easy this seems for me. It's only because I've done it so many times. Even though I teach second grade, but I've done this a lot over the years. Okay, here we go. X times x, x squared. X times 4 is 4x. Now I'm going to do this part. Minus 1 times x is minus 1x, but we don't put the 1, we just put minus x. Minus 1 times 4 is minus 4, a negative times a positive. Oh boy, I did all that and you couldn't even see me do it. Okay, I did x times x, I got x squared. I did x times 4, and I got 4x plus. Then I did my minus 1 times an x is minus 1x, but we don't put the 1. Minus x. And then minus 1 times 4 is minus 4. So now I'm going to combine them. X squared Now this is plus 4x, but minus 1x. So it's like 4x is minus one of them, so we get 3x. And it's positive because the 4 is bigger. And then we have minus 4. That's it. Okay? We're going to go up to number 5, and then we're going to take a break. And I'll do the rest on the second video. Okay, number 4. X minus 6 times x minus 3. X minus 6 times x minus 3. So again, I start with the first term times the first term here, x times x squared. These have all been easy because it's always an x and an x. Okay, but these could have a number in front of them. They haven't, so we're just doing 1x times 1x. X times minus 3 is minus 3x. Minus 6 times x, minus 6x. Remember, you can pause it at any point and try the rest by yourself to see if you have it, because you want to be able to do it by yourself. Minus 6 times minus 3. 2 minuses times a minus times a minus is a plus 18. That's not obvious. You just have to remember that. Okay, now I'm going to combine. I have an x squared. Now I got a minus 3 and a minus 6. They both want to go that way. So it's going to, you add 3 and 6 and get 9. It's minus 9x plus 18. Got it? One more. Number 5. X plus 8 times x minus 2. Number 5. X plus 8 times x minus 2. That's correct, right? Yep. Okay, here we go. Oh man, you didn't even see me write that. Here we are. That's because my thing is turned funny. How about now? Okay, here we go. Ready? X times x, x squared. X times minus 2, minus 2x. 8 times x plus 8x. 8 times minus 2 minus. A positive times a minus is a minus 16. And then you combine x squared. Now you got minus 2x plus 8x. One's negative, one's positive, so you subtract. They work against each other. You end up with 6x. And what is it, negative or positive? Well, that smaller one's negative. We want the bigger one. The bigger one wins, so it's going to be plus 6x minus 16. Okay? You got that? Now, I did 5 of them. You could try the rest by yourselves if you think you need practice. Even though you might understand, it's good to practice because it really burns it into your head how to do these. If you practice them, you'll get much better at doing them, okay? We're going to pick it up on part B where we're going to start with the quadratic equation. Where is it? We're going to start with the quadratic equation, and we got to try to factor it so it looks like this, okay? So we'll do that on day 33B, okay? See you then.